Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I have a special guest in the house. So my guest today is going to be talking about life in Warsaw as an immigrant or as an international student studying in Warsaw, cost of accommodation, feeding. Basically he's going to be telling us about his experience studying and living in Warsaw, and also available jobs in Warsaw. So if you know this video is something that interests you, go nowhere and keep watching. Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I have a special guest, so I'll let my guest to introduce himself. My guest, please introduce yourself to my audience.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on your show. My name is Desmond. I am from Nigeria. I've been in Warsaw in Poland for over 2 years now, and I just graduated from University of Warsaw. I was studying masters in international economics, and over the years in Poland, I find it quite interesting. I'm actually working in Poland, so after I graduated, I started working in Poland. Actually, my program is for 2 years. So I studied for 2 years. That's 2 semesters in 2 years, so that's 4 semesters. And I was studying in University of Warsaw. That's what in Polish it's called Uniwersytet Warszawski. That's like the main university in Warsaw. And they have their building close to just beside the presidential palace in Warsaw.
Okay. You may mention that you are published, or is that the right word to use? Or you have a book that you published. Is it part of your
Yes.
study, or was it something you were doing before you came to Poland, or is it like a side hustle? So I really want to know what this
Okay.
book is all
So
about.
actually, I wouldn't call it a side hustle. I would just call it a passion or a side passion of mine. It's not really a book. It's, well, probably in time to come, I would publish a book, but it's more of an article. So normally as a master student, I write articles and I write research. But outside of my studies, because of my passion, I write articles based on politics, economics, inspiration, and all other topics. And I started right after I finished my bachelor's from Caleb University in Nigeria, Lagos. I studied bachelor's in economics. So after I finished my bachelor's, during the time I was preparing for my NYSC and all, that's when I started around 2019. And I've been writing my articles since then, and I've been publishing it on WordPress. Although I had a contract with Pulse Nigeria to publish some articles, and then they give me some stipend, not really that much. But though now I've actually, my contract with Pulse Nigeria is actually closed, so I've ended that contract. Although I published around some few articles on Pulse Nigeria, and I can actually share you with the link once during the video, because of the video. But one of them which you can also check out is the direction of the CBN and the currency exchange on Pulse Nigeria.
Okay, guys, I'll leave the link in the description section. So if you want to check out Desmond articles, you can always check it out. Okay, so, wow, that's interesting.
So that has been basically regarding my articles. So that has been what I've been up to. So it's not like I'm getting paid for it. It's just my passion, which I love doing.
Okay, that is good. So this brings us to, could you please brief us, how was your admission process when you were coming from Nigeria? Why applying to University of Warsaw? How long did it take you to get admitted? How much tuition fee did you pay? Did you legalize your document for getting the admission? And a brief wrap-up of how it all went.
Okay, so Poland, most of the schools, they use IRK system. So you first of all apply through the IRK system. Then after getting admission, they wouldn't give you the admission at the first instance. Like for mine, I applied through the IRK system, and I was given a notification of green qualification. So that means I was qualified to study. So what would have permitted my admission was if I am able to submit my official transcript from my bachelor's studies. So once you're able to do that, and you are able to submit original certification of your notarized certificate, then you are given admission. Then you can start up processing your visa. So your visa is basically student visa type D visa. And in preparation of your document, also, I would like to state that after you have been given the qualified status, before you are before you are admitted, when you are asked to submit your original document, it's always advisable to notarize your document. Most of the time, Nigerians have issues um, with notarization of documents. So for my case, I wrote email to the school and I was told that I can use the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Education. So I used the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Education to authorize my documents, my certificates, to show that the government recognized this certificate. But to be on the safe side, it's always advisable to go to the Polish embassy, and that is much more beneficial than using the Ministry of Education. Most of the time, the reason why people use the Ministry of Education is because the period to get your original documents are always so short. And that's another issue with Polish universities. So when they ask you to provide your original document, is most of the time highest a week. But what you can do in most cases is send email to the school, giving them your reasons why you cannot send the original document at the shortest period of time, and then they would extend it for you. So after doing that, then you apply for the visa. The visa is 80 euros.
What is the tuition fee like studying in University of Warsaw?
Okay, so now the tuition fee should be around with a minimum of 2,500 euros a year and above.
Wow.
And what you should also notice, most of the schools are also increasing their fees for international
Yes.
students due
Yeah.
to rising inflation and
Mm.
other living expenses. So that's another thing you should take note of. But on an average, it's mostly 2,500 and above. Although there's still some courses which are free tuition fee. You can also check that on the website.
Okay, there are some courses which are free tuition
Free
fee.
tuition
Okay.
fee.
So guys, if you want to apply for the course that is free tuition fee, remember it's very competitive. You can check our Investor of Warsaw website for that course. Okay, this brings us to the next question is how is cost of living in Warsaw? Like for instance, if I have like 300 euro as
Mhm.
my budget for the month, how far can 300 euro take me for the whole month as a student?
Okay, so if you have 300 euro, that's 300 euro as in
A budget for
not
a month,
the
including
equivalent.
accommodation, equivalent. Okay, 300 euro converting it to zloty. You know, right? I'm using euro because everyone can easily calculate, do their
Mhm.
calculation, convert
Yes.
to local currency. So
Mhm.
for accommodation, feeding, probably other miscellaneous expenses, how far can 300 euro take us?
Okay, so if you have 300 euro, um, if you are to convert that into zloty, because in Poland they spend mostly zloty, you can also
Mm-hmm.
spend euro, but most people will accept zloty. So once you come, you exchange your euro into zloty, and the rate should be another thing you should take note. It's always advisable, do not exchange your euro at the airport. The exchange rate at the airport is always lower. So if you want to get a higher exchange rate, you exchange after leaving the airport area, and the exchange rate should be around 4.7.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 euro should be 4.7 zlotys. So if you have 300 euro, that should be around 1,400 zlotys. That can actually take you as a student for a month to live at least average income, an average cost of living. But it also depends if your school has a dormitory. So if your school has a dormitory should be less expensive. So that should be able to also reduce the cost of accommodation, which you'll be paying for, and which will also enable you to live at least a sustainable lifestyle.
Okay, what is the range of accommodation can we get from the low, medium, moderate to like high taste, like our shared accommodation and the studio apartments? How much can one get that?
Okay, so for the accommodation, um, most of the time as a student, if you are not in the dormitory, most students like to get a shared apartment.
Mhm.
A shared apartment should be, and around right now, it should be around 1,000 to
Wow,
1,500 in Warsaw.
wow.
In
Three
Warsaw,
bedroom shared apartment.
a shared apartment, a shared apartment, the way it is, it can be 5 room, but you have your own room, but
Yes.
you are sharing the the you're sharing the bedroom and you're sharing the kitchen area, and you have a common area where you are also sharing. The only difference is you have your own private room. So
Room.
it's more or less like staying in a dormitory, but a kind of small dormitory. That's how a shared room is. So
Mm.
previously it was around, you could see a shared room for 700 zlotys, even 600 zlotys. But now
Wow.
it has increased due to the war with Russia and Ukraine. So a lot of Ukrainians and other refugees are in Warsaw, and due to that, land apartment owners are actually increasing rent, and also due to inflation. So because of that, apartment has gone up so high in Warsaw, and I feel in also other areas in Poland. But in Warsaw, it's more expensive because it's the capital city and a lot of activities, economic activities are going on. But if you're not in Warsaw, in other areas like Lublin, you could see for 800. In other areas like Radom, you could see for 800 as well. But for shared apartment in Warsaw, from 1,000 or 900, but mostly 1,000 to 500. Then for a studio, you could see a studio going for minimum 1,800 and
Wow.
above. Minimum 1,800 and above, depending on how exquisite the studio is. So there are some studio which are more exquisite than others, so the price will be higher. Then for a two-bedroom, the two-bedroom should be minimum 2,600 zlotys and
Wow.
above. So
Wow.
that's just an average of how the accommodation price is. So that's why I said if you're living in the dormitory, a school dormitory, 300 euros should be okay for you, because for most dormitories it's around 500, 600 zlotys. But
Okay,
if you're going
so
to stay outside, it will be more expensive.
okay, okay. So if someone is going to stay outside the dormitory, so the budget 300 euro is not enough.
Yes, let's
Expensive.
just put it at that. So it's not going to be enough for a
So that,
month.
wow. So that accommodation is it inclusive of bills or bills exclusive?
So the accommodation is inclusive of bills, the one which I just stated, inclusive of bills, but still there's some time where the owner of the apartment will tell you they're going to separate your bills. So you pay for the rent separately, and then you'll be paying for the bills separately.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. So the let's talk about bus tickets. Like for Lublin, bus ticket is quite cheaper. The last time I went to Warsaw, I found out that the amount I pay for bus ticket, I was paying like times three. I think about 4 or 5 zloty. So monthly bus tickets for students and for if you are not a student, how much it is in
So
Warsaw?
so monthly bus tickets. One thing you should know is bus tickets. If you're a student, you have 50% discount for bus, train, as long as you're a student and you have a student card and you are 26 years and below. You have
Mm-hmm.
50% discount for bus ticket, train ticket. And the bus ticket price for a month, 1 month is around 50 zlotys, and for 3 months, so they have 1 month and they have 3 months. There's 3 months, so 1 month is around 50 zlotys, 3 months is around 149 zlotys for a student.
That
But
is
if
below
you're
26. That is below
yes, like
26.
below 26, 26 and below.
Mm-hmm.
So but if you're not a student, 1 month you should be paying around 140 plus.
Wow.
But 3 months for someone who is a non-student, who is not a student, you'll be paying 249 plus for
Not
bus
bad.
tickets for 3 months. Yeah.
Not bad.
And there are also other tickets which you can have, 20-minute tickets,
Mm-hmm.
75 minutes tickets. There are some tickets you can just purchase for a whole day, 1 day ticket,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. So this brings me to the other question. Let's talk about job. What are the job available for international students in Warsaw? And how much do you think they can make from this, even if it's not exact, like rough estimate?
Okay, so as a student, the thing is, if you are working, there are various jobs, there are menial jobs and there are professional jobs. So
Mm-hmm.
getting a job will depend on the course you're studying, either you're a master's student or a bachelor student, and if you have prior experience. So the menial jobs are mostly jobs with, I would say, manufacturing, uh, that's packaging of items, most of the time with all these courier services.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also some other menial jobs like uh, other other menial jobs that relate to that are not like professional jobs actually, and there are also professional jobs. And one good thing is that now Poland is already opening, so most professional jobs are also given to foreigners and international students. There are also jobs like customer service jobs, and there are jobs also in banks. There are jobs also with consulting firms.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have experience and if you can show that you have that experience, you should be able to get the job. And one other thing you should notice, in Poland, there is also competition. So if you're going to be applying for a job, you need to put make a well articulated CV, and in your CV in EU, you should always put at the bottom that you accept the company making use of your information for the position which you're applying for. It's
Wow.
always important because they have this GDPR policy for guidance of your private information. So you should also try to put that and try to make your CV well articulated in order to stand out with other competitors, because a lot of Ukrainians, also foreigners from other countries, are also a lot that are also applying for these positions. So, but if you have the experience and you can show that, you should be able to get a well-paying job. And the pay, a well-paying job should be, depending on your position, should be around 4,000 to 4,000 and above. I would say 4,000 zlotys and above. That's if it's not an internship. There are also internships. Internships could, they are paying internships. You could get around 4,000, also 3,000 zlotys also.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Interesting. So the menial jobs, so you said the menial job are mainly like the packaging, working in
Yeah.
like in post, DHL and the rest.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
there's nothing like this job that's common here in Lublin. This picking of strawberries and all those stuff is not common in
Okay. In
Warsaw.
in Warsaw, yeah, it's it's not as common as in Lublin, but in Warsaw they also have that. You have these jobs where picking of the fruits like tomatoes, and also mm, in all these butchering services like animals, packaging of chicken, turkeys, and all those stuff. They also have that. They are here also in Warsaw, but most of the time, the one which is more common, the packaging of impost and DHL, these courier services.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, let's talk about TRC, applying for TRC, because I could remember the last time, like last year, applying for TRC in Warsaw takes like 8 months. So I noticed most people leave Warsaw to other rural city to apply for TRC, and getting appointment date is very, very tough. Is it still same now?
Okay, so I've never had any experience where TRC took 8 months for me. The maximum I've seen is 4 months.
Okay.
So yes, so within, it's always advisable to apply 3 to 2 months before your visa expires.
Okay.
Because if you're applying for a job and then you get a job, they would require those documents from you. But if you have a stamp on your visa, on your passport, sorry, that
Mm.
you've applied and you are waiting for a decision, the company would actually take you and they will tell you, when you have your decision, send it to us. So it's always
Okay.
advisable before your visa expires or before your previous TRC expires, you apply 3 to 2 months before it expires. And the process is around, for me, the one I've seen, maximum 4 months. But now it seems to be also extending to 5 months due to also the influx of Ukrainians. And most of the time, they give more priority for refugees from Ukraine coming in before
Okay.
others in terms of TRC application. So as a student, you can also apply for TRC as a student, and you can apply with your company. Most of the time, if you have a professional job, the companies would apply for the TRC on your behalf with
Okay.
the company. And
Okay.
one thing you should also note is when you're applying for TRC, if you've graduated, it's always good to apply for the TRC, even if your company is doing it for you, but you're graduated. Always submit your certificate to the company, telling them that they should apply for the TRC based on your Polish certificate. Because with your Polish certificate, even if you leave the company, you would not go back to apply for another TRC. But if you
Okay.
apply based on the company, if you leave that company, you would have to apply for another TRC. So that's the
Okay.
disadvantage. And then if you're still a student, you definitely have to do that yourself. So you have to prepare your document, ask for the documents from your school showing that you're still a student, and you will see it on the list on the website, the government website. You will see the list of the documents which you have to prepare.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for the information. So, my last question is, any advice for any international student coming to study in Warsaw, or anybody that is coming to Warsaw through work visa? So, what advice do you have to give to them as regards adapting to the system of life in Warsaw?
Okay, so the first advice I would have to give is, if you're applying as a student, um, basically, I know everyone will still want to work, so you should be able to have at least some experience, or you should be able to show that you can do the job, so that when you come and you are looking for jobs, you can get the job. And most of the people here, they also pay their school fees by working. So if you're able to get a good job, you can then do that. And another thing you should also take note of is the weather. Around this time, it becomes very cold. So during the winter period, you have to put on thick jackets. You have to take warm things. Try not to take cold things. A lot of people get sick around the winter period. Another thing you should take note is it's going to be very different depending on the lifestyle, the way they live their life in Nigeria and here. It's very different. So you need to be prepared. They tend to live a more enclosed lifestyle, no noise. Most of the apartments have time for no noise. Most of the time it's 10 p.m. till 6 p.m. Um, so basically, these are the things you should note. Uh, they tend to, most of the time, keep to themselves. So you just have to watch your surroundings, know how they act, and just follow with that also. So, and basically, if you're also going to be applying to a school, you should read the requirements very carefully. And you should, when you're applying for the school, after getting your admission, before applying for visa, depending on when you would get your visa, If you are saying it takes so long, you can send an email to the school and then require the school to give you an extension to provide to arrive for studies. That's what you can do. And apart from that, with that, you should be okay to stay in Poland.
Thank you so much, Mr. Desmond, for honoring my invitation. I really appreciate it. So, guys, I'm going to leave link to Desmond publication articles so you can check it out, and also his social media handle. If you have questions, personal questions for him, I'm going to leave it in the description section so you can reach out to him. If you have any partnership with him as regard his freelance work.
Yeah,
Okay, Mr. Desmond, thank you so much for coming. I really
no
appreciate your
problem.
time.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Nice to be here.
Thank you. So
Okay.